Hello everyone and welcome to our Teach It Right update video for October 2023. Let's jump straight into it. So, some key messages. Our assessment week will be starting from the 7th of October. This is week 5. So obviously it's really important that students recap everything that they've covered in the block so far. So this will be the first 4 weeks of material, both in the class and homework. And obviously if there was anything you struggled with, perhaps any red homeworks, it's well worth going through them before the assessment because you know the assessment will be covering the material we've done so far. Nice way to make sure you do as well as you can. An email is also going to be sent out to you soon if it hasn't gone already for your parent meeting slot. Really important with the parent meetings, obviously, that you book in, get to know your tutor. So the better the parent-tutor relationship, the better we can support your child. And of course, if you've got any questions or information that you want to go through, that's a really useful way to do it. It'll be approximately a 10-minute slot that you'll access via a Zoom meeting. So again, booking that in, really important. Teach It Right half term is from the 23rd to the 27th of October, and there will not be Teach It Right lessons on the 28th and the 29th of October, so that's the end of half term. Please ensure you arrive for every Teach It Right lesson as punctually as possible. Ideally, we like to start the spelling test, bang on time right away. And obviously, I know certainly a lot of the tutors will use that spelling as a chance to give out tokens, but equally it's important that we have so much material to get through that we make the most of every hour you have with us. So please do make sure you're as punctual as can be. Just so you're aware, our creative writing masterclasses are now available to book. You can book them online. You go to our website, Teach It Right, and under the various courses and things, you can book them on. Now, with our masterclasses, although you're more than welcome to join all of them, they are meant to be or made to be selected one by one. So if you know there's a certain area of weakness that you have, you can just select that area. So you can book them as a group or individually. It may well be that you always struggle with finding eventful endings, for example, and so that will be the lesson that you pop onto. And these are going to run throughout the year in various subjects. There'll be maths, verbal, non-verbal, revision, targeted lessons, all really useful. So do keep an eye out throughout the year. If from your assessments you find areas you struggle with, you may well find that there is a masterclass for you that's really useful. I think they're approximately £12 a session, as long as you use our code that you can see here, Teach It Right Masterclass on the right-hand side. It's going to start on the 18th of October, and in this particular course, the masterclass is going to cover a detailed introduction to planning, beginnings, middle and endings, and really should be a massive boost to your creative writing, which obviously we know is useful for some of the exam boards, but also just generally useful for your English in school. Very important, free verbal reasoning parent workshops. So these are interactive workshops taken by Chris Pearce, who's our author and founder of Teach It Right. In this particular workshop, you're discussing hints and tips for supporting your child at home with verbal reasoning. The times are 9 to 11 on the 14th of October at St Mary's School, so that'll be a face-to-face one, and from 3 to 5 on the 15th of October online via Zoom. Now, these workshops will be going on throughout the year. They're really useful. Again, we find the more engaged the parents are, the better informed the parents, the more they're able to support their children, the better their children are going to do. So really useful to get involved if you can. So please do book on. And again, these are online, available to book under our events page. Homework Support Club. It's entirely possible that there'll be homeworks that you want a little bit of help on, and we obviously have a provision for you, and this is the Homework Club. So on a Monday for the Year 5s run from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. On a Tuesday is a Year 4 session from 4:30 to 5:30, and again another Year 5s on the Tuesday from 5:45 to 6:45. The Homework Club's really useful. You may want to be there for the whole hour to work companionably, or you may just want to pop in for 5 minutes to ask a quick question and just get that question answered by a tutor. They're all manned by a tutor, so they're all very knowledgeable. They know exactly what's going on, and they're there to help. And obviously, it's really useful to be able to have that facility. So please do make the most of it. Give it a try if you haven't. The way you would join is via Zoom, and again, many of the links will be sent out via emails. If somehow you're still missing that, please don't hesitate to reach out to the office, and they can get it sent to you quite easily. This is just a bit of a words of awareness, Synonyms and Antonyms book by Christine Draper. This is a fantastic resource, and it's really just to highlight how useful this book is. Obviously, I know many of the students have been using this in Year 5 for homework, and it is a challenging book. It's tough. You may well have to use things like dictionaries, the internet, etc. to work out the meaning of words, and that's absolutely fine. Please do use this book in conjunction with your word and meaning book, so make sure you're copying over the words that you don't know. Take it in little steps. A real goal, I think, I would much prefer you view this as a book to view for the entirety of the year, work through it. Do try and complete the homeworks, but go back, work through it page by page, and do your best to learn the words. Make sure, do you know a synonym? Could you describe the word? Could you put it in a sentence that makes sense? These are fantastic skills for our children to have, and this is a fantastic resource to really continue to use throughout the year, and in terms of a fantastic resource for sort of targeted vocabulary learning. Very much recommend it, and please do, even after this block, where we'll be giving out new materials, please do make the most of this book and continue to utilise it. Week 5, very important, as well as being assessment week, is of course our Goodie Box week. So please don't forget to bring in all your tokens to the centres so you can spend the various goodies. And there'll be various toys, a couple of sweets, lots of stationery and things, as well as potentially some lovely educational books. So please do make sure that you arrive, you get in and you spend your tokens. Obviously, if you, for whatever reason you can't, don't worry, they'll be every week 5. We'll have this opportunity, but do make the most of it if you can, because obviously we want to reward you for doing really well in your assessments. Tip of the month. This is quite timely because we've obviously been doing verbal and non-verbal right now. One of the things I just wanted to take a moment to talk everyone through was how can we check verbal reasoning? Now, a lot of what we will have been doing in our non-verbal is talking about how we can eliminate the wrong options and how we can analyse the questions using Spance-Ross to eliminate. Sometimes it's a little harder to come up with ways to do it for the verbal reasoning. However, both from Year 4 and Year 5, I've taken a selection of both. I've given you a couple of examples of how we can analyse what we can do to sort of almost check our work if there was any time left over at the end. And obviously with a timely assessment coming, this is hopefully quite useful. So in this question, analogies, we're trying to link the first word to something in the brackets in the same way that we link the second word. So here we have ice is to something as fire is to something else. And the answer for this question is actually, of course, that ice is cold and fire is hot. So that would be the correct answer. Perhaps I move on, I want to come back and check. A lovely way of being able to check would be to try and put a name or a description to how they are linked. And in this case, ice and cold and fire and hot are linked by being temperature. So the fact that I'm able to, in one word or maybe one or two words, explain the link means I've probably got the answer right. Whereas it would make absolute sense that ice definitely has something to do with water and fire definitely burns, but I couldn't, in this case, think of an answer or a single word answer that would link them in the same way. I say, well, ice is water, but fire isn't burn. And fire burns, but ice doesn't water. And in that way, it's a really nice method of checking the correct answer. So ice is cold, fire is hot, and they're linked by temperature. In this next example, night is linked to dark, day is linked to light, and perhaps you could take a moment to have a think about it. What could you be? What's the explanation? Well, in this case, it's how bright it will be. Now, this process is something that the teachers may well have had the students do in the lesson, and actually, if not, it's a great opportunity to go back and reutilise the work. Try and come up with a one-word name for the link. This is very similar to how we could approach the odd one out. In this case, we've got odd one out. Actually, these are, I should label it, these are odd two out questions. Very similar. But the way to know we've got the correct answer would be to try and name the group that's left behind. Let me give you an example. So here we have house, bungalow, office, flat, and library. In this case, the odd ones out are an office and a library. But the reason for that is that I can name the group that house, bungalow, and flat belong in. They're homes, they're places people live. So this method, again, of naming the group, of checking that you can, in one or two words, quite concisely link the group, is really useful. It's a good sign that you're on the right track. And certainly if you can't think of a short, sharp way of naming the group, it's a good indication that it's wrong. So again, feel free to have a think here. So I'm going to tell you that the correct answer is actually desert and glacier. How would you name the group that's left behind? The ones that are in, as it were. Well, I'll tell you, in this case, a woodland, a rainforest, and an orchard are all example of forests. And again, that means I'm on the right track. I've labelled the group, so now I can give my answer as the two that aren't in the group. Hopefully that's useful and makes good sense. As well, quick resource feature, just some things to show off and let you know about that Teacher Right certainly recommends. And here we have Bananagrams. Bananagrams is a fantastic game. It's available on Amazon. It's really important that students develop a good grasp of their spelling, certainly for GL. There'll be lots of questions that involve what we call SPAG, so spelling, punctuation, and grammar. And Bananagrams is a fantastic way to practice spellings, but also a great way to expand vocabulary, because of course the larger your vocabulary, the more words you have in your toolkit, and theoretically the better you should do at the bananagrams. So we thoroughly recommend it. Really fun, really useful. It's involved sort of spelling words out for points, very similar to Scrabble, but perhaps a touch more flexible. We thoroughly recommend bananagrams, and it's well worth checking out, and that's something that we will be playing with the students in various lessons, so perhaps something for them to keep an eye out for. Right, everyone, so again, here's just our quick summary page. We've mentioned the important dates already, so please do feel free to take a screenshot of this. It summarises all the important information. Don't forget the homework club is going on only during term time, so it won't be in the holidays. We hope you found that useful. Any other questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with your tutor. You should be meeting up with them potentially at the end of every lesson just for a short little 2-minute debrief. And of course, you do have the more in-depth 10-minute parent meetings to look forward to. So if you have any questions, reach out then. Anything that you can't address, or if you can't address at the centre with your tutor, please don't hesitate to reach out to the office. Right, everyone, thank you so much. And we'll see you all again next month. Bye-bye for now.